It's interesting the way the turn that video, the last video took. Her, it wasn't Bridget. Bridget was the sweet with the light brown hair and the light mocha skin that had her. That was Bridget Covington. Brittany, okay. Brittany was the name of Paula's friend. Brittany, yeah, she was not interested in me at all. And I knew when she came in, I told her, gosh, because they were like good friends. And Brittany was like, no, I'm not. No, she was not interested. Because I asked Paula, do you think she might want to go on a date sometimes? No. She just read off, no, not interested. Then after that, I was like, okay. No, I wasn't like, are you sure? I just, wow, she's really pretty. But Paula was impressed that when I said, wow, she's really pretty, and then I asked, and then Brittany said no, and then I went, okay. She was very, very impressed by that. And we used to have talks all the time and stuff. Paula was friends with the other girl, I can't remember her name. She was the one that, she was like an anthropology major or something at ASU. And when we talked about things, we talked because we'd talk politics. Rodney and Donna would talk politics, they'd talk politics. I started talking, and then the one girl, you probably like that wimp, Henry David Thoreau. And I was like, really? You think a guy that harbors runaway slaves is a wimp, right? It's like, wow, that's interesting. You must think overseers and Simon Legree are heroes, right? That's how I was. They would jump me on things, and then I would say something like that, and they'd be like, and then Paula was very particularly impressed. Okay. And she was always impressed with me with a lot of things. She would sit there and just go, oh my gosh, is this guy for real? That happened to me with a lot of women, They would sit and they would watch me and they would listen to me. And they'd be like, is this guy for real? Wow. I mean, this guy will say, and then Paula did that with me when we went to Ying Dynasty. And the young Chinese man sit there and started questioning her in Chinese, what are you doing here with him? And she didn't answer back in Chinese, she answered back in English. I can have lunch with anybody I want. And she ripped him a new one. I was like, is this girl for real? It's like, she's awesome. She was cool. And then it's funny, but she kind of, she was her own girl, but she was always very obedient and very good, and she was, socially fit. And then she hung out with me, and she started getting a little bit more. And I didn't realize I had that effect on people. And that's the whole thing with the guy at, the scientists that study me. You're an idealist and you get people killed. And Ginsburg, when I connected to Ginsburg, you're dangerous. You get people killed. You get good people killed. They're good students. They do as they're told, and then you get them up to say, "Oh, really? So you think Henry David Thoreau, who harbors runaway slaves, is a wimp, and so you must think that Simon Legree and the Overseer are superheroes, right?" So just that type of guy. I've been this way since I was a little kid. Mr. Swank, Mr. Ku Klux Klan. That's pathetic, Mr. Swank. You would think you could take, and I told him that. So you gonna, okay, your motherfucking ass gonna own Lawrence Taylor, right? And then fuck his wife anytime you want, because you got the gun, you can be okay. First time you put that gun down, motherfucker, put that gun down one time, motherfucker. Put that gun down just one motherfucking time, Mr. Swank. Ku Klux Klan. Just Nat Turn at your ass, motherfucker. You a dead white man. That's the last time you fucked my wife. And that's when I got that chapter in the book about Morgan Freeman's relative, Elijah Freeman. It's like, how the fuck did he end up in Mississippi? He was going north. But his relatives ended up in Mississippi, and he talked to a man that he served with in the service, and they called him Mad Dog, because he had scars across his face and all over his arms. And he told Elijah the story because Elijah felt emasculated because he left his girl on the plantation, and he had to go back and get her. They were fighting in the war. And Mad Dog told him a story how he lost his angel to hunting dogs sent out by the overseers. And he became legend. He had all these dog scars across his face and all that. He grabbed all the dogs that killed his woman, and he grabbed the alpha by the back legs and hind legs and ripped their jaws apart, and he just took the bite. He wanted to die. They killed his girl, and he went to go kill the dogs and the men that killed his girl, and people came and doctored him back to life, and he didn't want to live. Then when he got a chance to kill Southerners in the war, they called him Mad Dog. Yeah, I never wrote that book. Morgan Freeman got after me in prayer back in 2010s or whatever. You never finish anything. I never finished the book about the Freemans and the Vinson plantation and stuff when I met Fred Vinson, and I connected to the people in the slave migration, and I connected to the people that were relatives of mine that were half white and half black that lived in the Carolinas during the migration. And, people, having one of my moms, it would not be a stretch of the imagination to think that someone from my mom's line could have migrated over to South and North Carolina and met a black man and had a child with him, like, Wanda Sykes' relatives. It's not out of the stretch of the imagination for the women in my family. Okay. And I remembered walking around and thinking if I was punchy, but I knew I'd walked in spirit through the Carolinas before, and I didn't get treated the way I was treated when I walked around as a white man in a military uniform. I got treated, hey, and I remember there was always that voice in the back of my head, if I was punchy in some cornrows walking around, would I get treated, which the answer was no, hell no. I was a little different with black folks that was in the service. You was in the service, you got treated better than you did if you were punchy with your cornrows. But it was different, man. The South in me was like, wow. And I remember telling folks about that. It's either the South is, either, the people there, they either be the salt of the earth or you'd like to salt the earth with them. And, yeah, I experienced a lot of that growing up in New Mexico, too. In Güero. Then come back and, when I was a little kid, I was Güero. And then when I came back, everybody thought I was Mexican. All the kids, they just looked. They didn't know. So the people that knew me knew I was white, knew my dad was white, knew my mom, and stuff. But then people just assumed the same thing. I didn't get it till we moved to Phoenix, and Bob's mom, no. Your dad's Mexican, he just changed his name to Avoy La Migra. Because my dad looked like Burt Reynolds. And it's like, no. No, my dad's white. No, my grandma was accused of being half Cherokee, and I was like, no, dad's white, man. No, dad's cowboy. No, my dad, he's Sarah Blanca. It's like, no, my dad ain't Mexican. We're explaining that to lots of people. Like, Washington, Tucson, Phoenix, No, my dad's not Mexican. No, your dad's Mexican. Your mom's white. Mom, obviously, red hair, Barbra Streisand nose, blue eyes, No, mom was white. Okay, but just about everywhere we went, dad was Mexican. We changed our name to Avoy La Migra. And I was like, no, it's not true. You're Mexican. Well, my sisters aren't. They look like your mother. I was like, fuck. No, Josie Aviar did the same thing with me. Josie Provincior, she goes, no, you're one of us. No, Earl, all the kids in the lockup used to do it too. No, Dad, you're one of us. No, Dad, you're the guy from Melinda, Dad. No, Dad. Dad. That was always me. And it was weird because, I was the man, but I wasn't. My mom was the man. Marianne was the man, right? My dad, he's Mexican. It's like, no, it's vice versa. My mom's a Mexican at heart, and my dad is, no. Dad's NRA, National Rodeo, PRC. No, Dad's PRC, Chris Ledoux, and Waylon Jennings and Slim Whitman. Mom, the white girl. Mom is Clyde McPhatter and Sam Cooke, and you're in there smoking cigarettes and listening to nigger music. Yeah. Okay. No, y'all. Shit was funny. You had to explain that to folks. It's like, no, man, Moby, nobody listens to techno. You don't know me. You give your hand to me, and then you say hello. And I can hardly speak. My heart is beating slow. And anyone could tell you think you know me well. Scientists thought they did. Most of the time when shit was going on that they were studying me, I had no outer dialogue. I wasn't like John Nash. John Nash would go through schizophrenic episodes because he was being studied by the military because he had this great mind that the military planned on using before the enemy got him and used him. They didn't see me as a threat. I was supposed to be this genius, this brain activity. He's a savant. He's Asperger's. He's going to help the enemy. Like with George, I'd fight for the U.S. government instead of for the Mexicans. It's like, there is no enemy. Why? Jesus said, love thy enemy. Okay, there's one dirt clot covered by one body of water given to us by the glory of God. The only enemy you have is the dumb motherfucker who you brush his teeth every morning and the stupid bitch who you touch her clitoris every time you think about being fucked by the most powerful man in the world. That's just stupid. I know. Is that Heidi Fleisch's Notebook? I was watching a thing on That's the Way of the World with Harvey Keitel and Earth, Wind, and Fire. I didn't know Maurice White could talk. It's like, so that's what he sounded like. He acted like this female that had a seen white man eye dog that could not talk or touch anything. When I met him, I was like, that ain't Maurice White. That's someone pretending to be Maurice White. Maurice White in real life was... Yeah, I was like, that ain't Maurice White. No, it's like I told you if watching David Rockefeller on PBS. Hey, David Rockefeller, that's the voice he uses at his in-laws' house on Christmas when people from Masterpiece Theater show up to film the fucking holiday shit. And then when everybody leaves, oh, fuck you, bitch, just die. I mean, that's David Rockefeller. I've talked to David Rockefeller, and that guy on PBS talking in front of people, that's not David Rockefeller. Okay, well, I got locker room David Rockefeller, like old Donald Trump grabbing by the pussy, and I got David Rockefeller, gladly kill over me. I was like, he don't talk like that. That's not David Rockefeller. Like with me, when you go to family events, when I was at the whatchamacallit, because they meet, her parents, when you put on, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, how are you? When you put on your yes, sir, ma'am, and then you get with your dogs, and you be like, hey, man, what's up, dog? What's the fucking dog? Just fuck out of here. Serious, man? You don't talk that way in front of your grandma and your in-laws and shit? Hell no. Right? Okay. It's nice when you get to be yourself. What about around your in-laws? They ain't worth being in-laws if you can't tell them, man, that shit is fucked up and you know it. Oh, Henry David Thoreau is a wimp because he hired runaway slaves. So you think Simon Legree and Overseer was I am the champion. Fuck that shit. All right, guys, I love you, marriage. I need a mother-in-law that accepts me for who I am. And mother-in-law, well, that believes in the laws of gravity and photosynthesis and has faith in the glory of God. Not a dumb, hey, here's some ink stains on a piece of paper that say I have to do something with the fake-ass money before we have sex and think about living in the same domicile together. That shit fucked up. Okay, guys, I love you. Right, peace.